Well, in the system of white supremacy, the white supremacists do not allow their victims to do anything that's going to have a constructive result in any area of activity on any significant scale. And so in all of the major, that's why it's called major areas of activity, sex is a major area of activity. People all over the planet are either engaging in something sexual or they are reacting to someone who is 24/7. Sex is very important. It's a great motivating factor among all the people of the planet. All people are interested in sex, including those who are just bystanders observing what other people do in the area of sex. And it becomes important to them one way or another, either directly or indirectly. So, therefore, the white supremacists are aware of this. So they dominate all of the sexual activities of the non-white people on the planet. Mm-hmm. And by them dominating all of the sexual activities of the non-white people on the planet, that means that they have orchestrated it in such a way that whatever sexual arrangements that non-white people try to have among themselves will not be successfully done in the most constructive manner. Whatever arrangements, doesn't make any difference what you do. You can't get it the way it ought to be. You can get it to a level of satisfaction, but it's still not the way that it ought to be. Why? Because it's in the system of white supremacy. And so no matter what black people try to do, try to get together with each other sexually, and whatever arrangements they try to make, marital arrangements, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, doesn't make any difference what that arrangement is. It's not going to be anywhere close to the way that it ought to be, and this should be understood.
Okay.
It can only be the way that it ought to be when racism no longer exists. You can't get it done within the system of racism. It won't work.
It won't work.
It will not work.
Okay.
So you start off with that premise. So everything that black people do in the area of sex with each other is just a make-do situation. That's the code premise.
Okay.
And there are people who say, well, that's not true and whatnot. Well, the code is, according to what I've written, you can't get it the way that it ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
Even you might get it to a level that where you say, hey, it works very well for me. My arrangement I have with my significant other is great. But see, what you have done, really, according to counter-racist logic, is just made an accommodation that satisfies you for all practical purposes. But it's not the way that it ought to be in a universe of people that is the way that it ought to be.
Yes, sir.
Which the universe is not the way it ought to be in the system of white supremacy.
Anyway, okay.